met Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, K. Chandrasekhar Rao once again began attempts of a tie-up of non-BJP, non-Congress regional forces. The Telangana Chief Minister has met with DMK Chief Stalin in Chennai today. Now, with just 10 days left for the big verdict of the Lok Sabha polls, his attempt is to form an alternative if the numbers throw up a surprise. And it's of course a trip which has set off a lot of speculation because DMK's Stalin is one of the few regional players who was the first to tie up with the Congress and has backed Rahul Gandhi as prime ministerial candidate. So what is the game KCR is playing, and can it fructify? If KCR is in the equation, what happens to Chandrababu Naidu? To talk about all of this, I'm joined today by A.S.I. Shekhar, political analyst, and Kingshuk Nag, political commentator. Welcome to both of you, and thank you for speaking with us. Mr. Shekhar, what do you think is cooking? What is KCR's plan, and is he banking on the fact that he had a spectacular result in the last assembly elections in Telangana?
Yeah, KCR, I think, is actually under the impression that neither the NDA nor the UPA would get the numbers that are required to form the government, and he strongly believes that a non-Congress, non-BJP conglomerate of different political parties, if he can forge an alliance with them, might be the king with the support of either of them. This is what I would predict, and for that reason KCR is working on the cobbling up of
that's obvious that he is hoping to form a non-Congress, non-BJP alliance. He said that as well. But I'm talking about his meeting with Stalin specifically, because so far he has met with Mamata Banerjee. He met, of course, with the Kerala Chief Minister. But this is a UPA ally who has declared that they're going to support the Congress, which is why this meeting has taken on even more significance. Why do you think he sees hope in a meeting with Stalin? Mr. Shekhar.
KCR strongly believes that the parties hold fort for the next government to come up in Delhi, and the regional parties can decide the agenda, and national parties are unable to cater to the needs of the individual states, and KCR has been talking about a qualitative change in politics, in Indian politics after 70 years of independence, and KCR has been arguing that the government, the nation needs to look into certain things like 70,000 TMC of water being let into the sea that should be utilized, and then he strongly opposes this concurrent list, and he wants subjects like health, education to be completely left to the states, and even reservations. So, KCR has a different agenda. For that reason, he is trying to go and convince each and every regional satrap. He is meeting with Stalin also, perhaps. I think he is on the same lines, and he wants to convince Stalin that instead of allying with a national political party like the Congress or the BJP, which pursue only their agendas, he wants the regional parties to have their way and also say, and for that reason he is trying to convince these regional satraps to join hands with his federal front.
Kingshuk, how do you look at this? So far the DMK and DMK sources have been saying that this is only, you know, a polite visit. It's an informal kind of a meet. There's no big plan hatching or cooking. Do you think that KCR is playing on the bet that he will do very well in Telangana's 17 seats, and Jagan Reddy, his good friend, will sweep Andhra, and together with maybe a bucket of 40 odd seats in the next Lok Sabha, as they hope, they will have a big say in what happens next?
Yeah, that is KCR's plan. He has two plans. One plan is what Sai Shekhar said, that he wants a conglomerate of state parties to represent that the state should have a bigger amount of power in how the country is run. But a more important thing is that in my opinion, KCR is actually trying to form a front which is an extension of the NDA. In other words, he is playing this game at the behest of Mr. Modi, and he is trying to convince Stalin and other people also to come into the front. Of course, the front will seemingly be independent, but in the end they will go and support the NDA alliance. So basically I can say this extension of the NDA alliance. Don't forget that Chandrababu Naidu earlier was thinking of playing the same role, but it was found out, and then in Andhra Pradesh when there were elections, this gentleman YSR stood up, YSR's son Jagan stood up, and he was supported by Mr. KCR. And the two together hemmed in Mr. Naidu. So now also they are not hemming in anybody, they are trying to forge an alliance. It's a federal front, the federal front which will support the NDA. Basically, they both believe that NDA and UPA, none of them will get a majority. So they will require a front to support them, and this front will support them. There is another front also being formed by Naidu, which also probably will have somebody like Mamta and all these parties.
Yeah.
They will support the UPA, and Mr.
Okay, so
KCR will support.
No, that's an interesting theory that KCR's federal front is in a sense a proxy for an extension of the NDA. But I want to come to the specific point of what happens to Chandrababu Naidu, and let me come back to Sai Shekhar over here, because Chandrababu Naidu is projected by opinion polls to face some losses in Andhra. And the person gaining from this is Jagan Reddy, and Jagan Reddy and KCR have both very publicly spoken about how they will coordinate and cooperate with each other. Would a UPA-led sort of combination also then want to look at KCR seriously, or at least keep the lines of communication open if the need arises?
In fact, the UPA, the Congress has kept its communication lines open with KCR as well as Jagan Reddy, and they have already engaged the leaders of TRS and also YSR Congress in a dialogue, and both parties have advised the Congress to wait until May 23rd when the actual results come out. This is one. And to your second question, what will happen to Chandrababu Naidu? I have a hunch that history repeats by itself, and going by again, strictly going by the opinion polls that which are predicting Chandrababu Naidu's loss in Andhra Pradesh. So, if history is repeating by itself, we can visualize a scenario of 1989. When N.T. Rama Rao, as the chairman of National Front, got the National Front to power and had to concede his long-term ambition of becoming the Prime Minister to Vishwanath Pratap Singh, because Telugu Desam has secured only 2 Lok Sabha seats and it lost its power in Andhra Pradesh. So, this could be one scenario, and Chandrababu Naidu for the first time is going it all alone. The TDP has never contested in its political journey since 1983 alone. It always had an alliance. To begin with, it was Sanjay Vichar Manch of Maneka Gandhi, and in subsequent elections, TDP had allied with the communists, then the BJP, and as latest as in Telangana, TDP went along with CPI and the Congress of all the parties. So, it is a dicey scenario, but then if Chandrababu Naidu loses Andhra badly, and as Mr. Kingshuk said, Jagan and KCR would become a formidable force to decide who should be there at the center.
And the question, Kingshuk, is that would a KCR and a Jagan be, comfortable with a Congress-led formation? If, as Shekhar says, they are keeping the lines of communication open, because we are talking about an array of political leaders and regional leaders who all harbor some sort of national ambition, if not prime ministerial ambitions themselves.
They will not be very comfortable, but politics makes for strange bedfellows. So I think both KCR and Jagan will be comfortable with Congress so long as they are in power. But the main story is not that. The main story is that a few months ago, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu was projected as the Prime Minister. That's why he excised his relationship with the NDA government and acted out on his own. At that time, he was supported by certain lobby, whom I don't want to name, and he thought he'll become a Prime Minister. As the first step, he wanted to make a Southern Federal Front, and therefore he had himself met Stalin, he had met Karnataka Chief Minister, etc. And this third Southern Federal Front was almost ready. But these elections have come as a shock to him. And in my opinion, I think even if people don't know, I think Mr. Modi realized that this man is up to no good. And he, in an indirect way, prompted both KCR and Jagan to oppose this gentleman very violently. And possibly now it is expected that he will not do so well. But maybe like what Mr. Sai Sekhar said about his father-in-law doing in 1989, he is still trying to forge a front, though he probably realizes that he cannot become the Prime Minister now. And so he is also propagating a front where somebody else will be Prime Minister, and he will be very much the sort of the chairman or something of that. Earlier there was a deal that he will become the Prime Minister and Rahul Gandhi of Congress would possibly become the UPA chairman. So very interesting games are going on. Who will do exactly what we don't know. But one thing is very clear. Mr. Chandrababu Naidu.
No, but we have to see. You made a point earlier, Kingshuk, that I found interesting, saying that KCR is also, hedging his bets and is more likely to side with the NDA. And we've seen that over the last 5 years. Even in Parliament, when push has come to shove, his party, the TRS, as well as YSR Congress, has come to the rescue of the NDA in Parliament when it came to crucial votes. There is no reason to believe why they would change that or switch that unless the numbers are very dramatically different, isn't that?
I agree with you totally. I was trying to point out something else. How Chandrababu Naidu and KCR are sworn enemies.
Yeah.
And possibly if Chandrababu Naidu is trying to do something, the actual opposite of that will be tried by YSR. So both of them will be on opposite sides. That's what I was trying to say. Because they have a whole history of enmity, which I don't want to get in now because it will become very boring for your listeners or viewers. So that's why. So basically there will be one front where we will have Chandrababu Naidu as a very prominent.
Yes, it is well known. It is well known. Let me just come to Sai Sekhar from the point of view that do you think that the Congress would be willing to ditch Chandrababu Naidu if the need arises?
Depends on the numbers. If Jagan Reddy gets more numbers and Congress is going to form the government with the support of Chandrasekhar Rao and Jagan Mohan Reddy, maybe why not? Because that is what politics is all about.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting because for one, KCR and Jagan are two regional leaders who, unlike a lot of other regional leaders, have not made defeating the BJP their prime purpose, which is why their moves on either side make for interesting analysis. I want to thank both Sai Sekhar as well as Kingshuk for joining us in this chat on the India Development Debate.